Well, hello and welcome, everybody. I am Kate Bates, joined by Anna Russell. Anna, welcome back. It's been a little while since we've seen your face on this broadcast, and I believe you have a small human in the background somewhere not very old. It's fantastic to have you back.
Yes, I have a 3-week-old little girl now, and hopefully she stays asleep in her cot while we get through the commentary. But I am brimming with excitement, Kate. I've been watching you guys take it over the last couple of weeks, and I am super pumped to be back and commentating on the Zwift Racing League.
And not least, Anna, because we are all still stuck in lockdown. So this is a very big, exciting event for us. Now, tonight we're heading to the Makuri Islands. This is week 3 of season 1, 21-22. And so, Anna, we've already had 2 thrilling weeks, a team's time trial in the first week. In the second week, last week, they raced around Watopia. And I can tell you there were some familiar names, but there were some super impressive new names as well. So tonight, this one, Anna, is called the Flatlands Loop. Not exactly
Mm.
flat, though.
No, I've reconned this about 5 times now, if that gives a little hint to my level of excitement about getting onto the Makuri Islands for the first time. And it is not flat. It's got a false flat after one of the sprints, great opportunities for some attacks. There's heaps of crazy tactics that could go on. I think breakaways, I think a long descent to the finish. So that opens it up huge for teams who want to play some tactics coming into the end. Do they break away? Do they go with about a kilometre to go, or do they play it safe and sort of decide when to sprint? What's exciting is that not many people know this course very well. And I saw in the Premier Division earlier today just how people didn't quite get their sprint timings right. So that's what I'll be looking out for tonight.
I think the Prem Division is a really good opportunity for people to take a look at the course and see how it's raced versus how they may go around there on a solo ride or a bunch ride. But my idea of a flat road, like to be completely transparent here, Anna, is not 270 meters of vertical climbing in 38K. It's more like 0 meters or 10 meters, maybe if you're in Holland and going over like a traffic bridge or something like that. But so you're right. I think it is all about timing and it will be pretty difficult. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we were talking about you a lot last week, Anna, because you would have been pretty
Oh.
excited. The New Zealand team, they were going really well. They were figuring very high, and they're a new team this season. We didn't see them in the last one, and they're up there challenging Aero.
Yeah, so what's really good is we've got a really healthy esport racing team now coming out of New Zealand. So we run a league the last 2 winters actually, and it's just pulled forward so many people who are enthusiastic about this platform and this kind of racing. And NZ Bro is dominating, I've got to say, and I'm going to be super pumped to see the little battle we might have here between Aussie and New Zealand in this APAC division. But looking at the start list, I know a lot of these names personally, so I think we'll see some very exciting racing. And looking at the team standings, Aero is on top. That's your Australian Esport Racing Organisation. NZ Bro, Frodo's in second. Team ZWC Allies in third. WMZ All Stars in fourth. Inc Alien Battlers in fifth. HKL in sixth. Badass Fuel Elite in seventh. Aero Next Gen in eighth. NZ Bro Gandalf in ninth. And Smooth As Sun in 10th.
Nice little Lord of the Rings reference there from the Cuzzy Bros. In our B, we've got the WMZBs leading the way ahead of the AHDR Barracudas. Dirty Sprockets in third. NZ Bro JRR Tolkien, there we have it, in fourth. The Innsbruck Ringers in fifth. WMZ Bumble in sixth. The AHDR Ballers in seventh. Aero Press in eighth. I think that's a little coffee machine. In ninth, we've got Evo Vandals, and in 10th, we've got Velo Cub. Mayol Sables, presented by Cycling Tips, the longest team in the entire league by a country mile. Let's take a look at C's, Anna.
We've got the AHDR Commodores in first, with the AHDR Chargers close behind in second. Tune Bikeworks 1 in third. The Big Ring 46.5 Tooth in fourth. WMZ Chasers in fifth. The Evo Suns in sixth. TBR 46 Tooth in seventh. Aero Bix in eighth. Z Sunreal in ninth. And Cryogen Altede in 10th. Some familiar names.
There are indeed. And in the fourth, we've got the AHDR Drop Bears. That's a good Aussie myth if you want to Google that one. WMZ Dodgers in second, the Diesels in third, the Cyclo Killers in fourth, and TZP Delta V2. That sounds very.
And looks like Kate may have just dropped out there, but there's a TZP Delta V2 in fourth. And looking at the women's Apac Div 1 D, we'll go back to the A's there. Aero 1 in first, Rave All Night, one of my favorite teams, there in second, and the Aero Flyers in third. Good battle between the two Aeros there. Looking at the Bs, we've got the Big Ring Smile On. They're taking out first. AHDRL Bullets in second. The AHDRL Band Babes in third. And the AHDRL Bombshells in fourth. And in the Cs, another Rave team, Raven Mad, love it, in first. The Aero Stingers in second. This is a great division, lots of riders here. TBR Smile On, a C in third. A lot of AHDRLs then from fourth through to eighth. The Caramellos, the Watt Cokies, the Chocolatiers, the Spin Mafia, and the Cruzettes. Then in ninth, the Tune Bike Works, Chicks and Nicks, and in 10th, the Evo In-Betweeners. And coming into the D categories, we've got AHDRL Diamonds, we've got the Raven Divas in second, the AHDRL Daiquiris in third, Z Sunkist in fourth, the Dynamos in fifth, WMZ Diamantes in sixth, the Herd of Bilbies in seventh, and Ferocious from Fearless in eighth. And we're going to head down straight into the women's racing now. They've just started on this course, the Flatland Loop in Makuri Island. I'm pretty excited to see what we've got going on here. This is a big battle between Team Aero and Rave. You can see the Aero kits, the Australian kits with the green and gold. Few Tron bikes out here, and then you've got the Rave kit, which is black with the sort of bright coloured green, white, and red. So good little front pack going on here. Looks like about 29 still in this front group. It's an interesting course because it does start off very quick because you'll come straight out of the pens. You have a small section of downhill before you've got flat for about 5 kilometers. So I don't think we'll see any breakups in this first 5 kilometers. It will just be the power of the pack riding along. And looks like they're about 227 watts. And I think Kate has come back with us. Kate, the women just out on course.
Oh, technology, Anna, seriously. Look, hopefully none of the riders have a dropout tonight because that is the absolute worst, isn't it? We had a good ride this morning and I think every third person was saying, oh my gosh, I'm having some internet issues. We've had some big storms in Australia in the last couple of days, so that would account for that. Now, this is absolutely an aero-dominated pack, but Rave did have a really good outing last week in Watopia. They did the figure eight reverse and they pushed them all the way to the line. Ultimately, Aero still dominated, but Aero have two teams here, Aero 1 and the Aero Flyers. We kind of came to the conclusion, Anna, that they probably weren't working together because otherwise that would kind of nullify the point of the whole competition if 2 out of the 3 teams were working together. But there's no denying that they were absolutely dominant in the way that they performed.
Well, I mean, you just look at some of the names in that Aero team, Justine Barrow, Kate Banerjee. I mean, these are some very legit riders. You can see the orange professional little jersey next to Justine Barrow's name. So she knows how to ride. I've actually ridden with her a few times and she's got a good sprint on her. So I'd be interested to see how how they're going to play it in tonight's race, just with a few teammates. I think what they need to do, and the teams that tend to do well, is if you've got a whole suite of 6 riders out there, maybe commit 2 of them to some of the sprints, maybe commit 2 to just staying in the front pack for the finish line points, and then maybe commit 2 to playing out some good tactics and try and break the bunch of it. That's what I'd be looking at. I am DSing a team tomorrow, and that's the kind of strategies we'll be having a look at with our team, but we'll see if any of these riders choose to do that. Was we just see a rider kind of dropping off the back there. That's M. Clark there from the Aero Flyers. She was in a bit of a dangerous spot there for a sec.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Meredith Clark just didn't pay attention for a moment there because she is definitely far stronger than to go off the back in a section like this, especially early on. Now, it's nearly 40K today, so it is significantly longer than last week, that was just over the 40-minute mark. So this will be a little bit longer for the ladies. I suggest, Anna, that that will mean that they're possibly not as aggressive early on, just simply because it is a much longer race and a lot of fatigue can set in when you go on those long and solo breaks. And 40 kilometers or 38 or 39, as it may be tonight, doesn't seem like a lot. But anybody who's ever ridden the track and tried to do either a 1 kilometer time trial or a 4 kilometer pursuit knows exactly how long shorter distances can be when you're absolutely at the limit. So they're ticking over at a pretty good pace. To get in a breakaway at this point, they
Oh,
are at 0%, so they're not going downhill.
what is Schneider
It would
doing?
be hard to stay away. Yeah, that's
What?
an
This is
interesting
early.
move given that the speed they were going.
This is well before the sprint. She's putting in and another rave rider. This is a concerted attack here for these two to get away. This is very, very interesting. I would not have picked this happening on the first lap. She counters over her teammate with the aero power up, now hitting around 6.6 watts a kg. Schneider still at about 5.8. Looks like Justine Barrow is worried by this attack. She's pushed it up to 7 watts a kg. They are actually approaching the sprint, so she just went for a really long leader. I think that's fortune favors the brave. She might get this as first across line. Maybe not fastest time segment, but definitely first across line. Love it. Great, great tactics there from Rave. That caught everyone off guard.
It really did. Dana Davidson, we saw her a fair bit last season actually, and she's a bit of a cracker. She's always had a little bit of tenacity when it comes to the racing side. If she's going for the sprint, my question, Anna, is do we need to use up this much energy to get some sprint points? However, we also need to consider there's fastest through segment. So this could just be a genius move. She's just hitting that sprint now. So let's just see whether that gap closes down. It's only 130 meters, this sprint. It's a short one. She'll absolutely get these points. So let's just see what happens behind her. Jen Petton and Meredith Clark are the two that come through behind her, or maybe Emily Watts. Now, she shone last week, as did Clara Nash. They were two of our very big performers in the sprint last week. So not surprised that they've gone through quickly. We'll see the faster through segment when we can. But Davidson goes absolutely unchallenged for Rave there. Will she keep it going, Anna? That is absolutely the question.
And I've got to say that the socials are lighting up with what Schneider did there. So a lot of people are saying, great work. She got the first across line, but a few, and I tend to agree, she's burning a lot of matches in lap one. Still two more laps to come in this. So I like it because I just like interesting tactics and I think they're fun to commentate on. But I feel like she would have burnt a few matches to do that. And next up, we've got a really risky sprint. You've got a sprint followed by a long drag uphill. Now, this is where I'd see a team like Aero, who knows this game really well, doing a counter attack. And when everyone's really tired, pushing up that climb. So that might be where we could see Schneider getting dropped off if she's just burned a bit too many matches. But I don't know her well enough, to be honest, to know if that was too much of an effort. We've got a few of her fans out, so maybe they could let me know. She could be an absolute sprinter extraordinaire.
Well, it's a really interesting one, Anna, because yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she didn't. Neither Davidson nor Schneider ended up getting that fastest through segment, so they did get points, but it was quite a lot of energy to use along the way. Now, Katie Banerjee looks to be on the move, so Aero has countered that attack, Anna, and kind of gone on the rave tactics, but very well timed.
Yeah, this is the part that I was talking about where it kind of kicks up and you can kind of counter over those sprint efforts. And I'm not surprised to see that that's Banerjee taking that off the front. Look at those watts per kg. Now, there's something I do want to touch on. So I DS'd the last two races for America's East. And I know as well in EMEA, we've seen the likes of the world esport champion, Ashley Millman Passio out racing. The Community League is absolutely, I have a look, almost at the same level as the Prem League now. These riders are
Mm.
seriously good and can put out huge watts. And I know some of the teams, they just can't do the Premier Division time slot. So they race in the community and they are amazing. And then you have new teams coming in who want to get back into the Prem Division. And that would be the likes of Aero, who I think have been in Prem Division, drop back down. They will be desperate to get back there. So these riders are really, really good. And the community leagues are just becoming seriously good tactics wise, but also just powerful wise.
Well, if we take a look at these segment points, Anna, Emily Watts is on the top of the table now. She's Australia's under 23 road race champion. She is an absolute legend and a very powerful bike rider. I expect to see her on the world tour in not too far into the future. So to see her in this league is very impressive. Jen Pettinan coming in second there with the fastest through segment, and Clara Nash, she is sitting there in third. Again, because of those fast through segment times, it adds to that. So Katie Banerjee has gone on the move, but we'll take a look over at the men's. And Anna, 2.9 in, and Gallagher is on the move already. They are very aggressive. It's saying 3 miles, Anna, so let's bear in mind in our vernacular, we time that by 1.6.
Oh,
So
got
it
an
is
attack
showing
here.
miles.
Tab along there from NZ Bro. This is amazing. The Frodo team, NZ Bro, take it out. Look at those watts, 12. Now back to 11. That is amazing. I think he could make it. He's just coming in now to this left-hand turn. I don't think he's going to do it. It's going to have M. Ross here from Aero come over the top. That was way too early from NZ Bro. Unfortunately, I thought people might get the timing a little bit off tonight. And M. Ross has done his homework. That was perfect, followed up by Mark Bosted, the professional triathlete from New Zealand, racing for NZ Pro Esport. He has cut his teeth over the winter in the Tri New Zealand Esport Series, and he is taking that power to this league. That was amazing. I didn't actually realize a triathlete could sprint, so impressed there.
No offense to all triathletes out there, but that's a fair comment, Anna. And as a bit of a laugh as well, in your absence, Anna, the flag wars continued because Tabalong is actually from Singapore, but Nathan, I believe, and I were last week were calling Poland because everybody checking in, you have to understand the flag is tiny, 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 and we don't actually have a nation; we only have a flag. So I apologise for Singaporeans. It is not Poland.
And you can just see there, M. Ross came over the top in what I call the super sprint position, where they push their watts so high that they actually almost go into a little kind of super tuck form there. You can just see it looks amazing. I love it when they do that. You know, they're just putting down some serious watts. And that was, I'm shocked. And Mark Bosted won't mind that I say that. I'm shocked he can sprint that well now. I don't know what he's been doing with his training, but that is amazing. He did not be able to sprint like that about 2 months ago. So he's put in some serious work.
We knew that you would know him. We we were discussing that, Nathan and I, last week. We were like, this guy's impressive. We're not sure his background. We're sure Anna will know who he is and where he has come from. A lot of the Australian names are really familiar, but it is quite a bit later there, isn't it, Anna? So it's 7:30 here in Oz, but it's not quite as friendly a time zone for the Kiwis, and I think it's taken them a few leagues to get on board with the time zone, but it's so great to have so many Kiwis riding in this year. And if for nothing else, to get you excited, to take the focus off Sam Lindsay a little bit, Anna. So
I
we're
know.
back to the women now, and Katie Katie Banerjee's just gotten caught. This bunch is a little bit smaller. Meredith Clark still sitting at the back there, and shout out Meredith. The draft is better in the middle of the pack than at the back, so move up a couple of wheels if you can, or you're doing it tough. Who's going to be next to attack, Anna?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments coming through. Cy Bradley's got an interesting point that those with really good 5 minute power should really push it through on a bit of that climb and just past the village if they want to break it down. I think what's interesting here is this is only lap one and there's been a lot of matches burnt, but also do you push hard off the front and just hope that it makes everyone else suffer so much that they're not going to be able to get to the finish and it becomes a race of attrition? Or does that end up just burning your own riders? So It'll be good to see what happens with Aero on lap 2 because they have had a couple of riders pushing off the front pretty hard. Also, Rave did have that counter 1-2 leading into that first sprint. So either everyone's super eager or they're just really nailing the tactics on this first lap and they're just going to hit us with even more coming into laps 2 and 3. Not quite sure what we'll see, but I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, it's good to remember as well that this is a points race and it's about the team. So when we're reading those results boards, we're not reading individual names. Now we will after today with the first over the line, but otherwise the leaderboard will then become the teams. And so the tactics, if you were riding for one rider to be first across the line at the end, are vastly different from the different tactics you may deploy in order to get all of those points. And sometimes we can look at a sprint and say this is a bit of a crazy move, but in the broader aspect of getting points, it's a good one. Now, Anna, there's a sprint coming up, so we saw some heroics in the last one that worked very well for Dana Davidson to get the first over the line. Emily Watts fastest through segment. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, so I think this sprint is one where you could counter over the top and there's a big downhill. I don't think you'd want to do it with a pack this size. I think if you're able to reduce the pack in the next couple of laps down to say maybe 5 riders, 5 to 8 riders, then you could do a counter over the top and have a huge downhill TT lead in into the finish banner. So we'll see if anyone does it here. They're going to hit this left-hander and then a sort of smooth right-hander. We can see an early opening up here from Clark from the Aero Flyers, but Kay Nash there from Rave. I can see some orange numbers. Then there's Emily Watts from Aero. She's coming through at 14.2. That was a huge turn of pace. Now at around 12.9, they're coming into the finish, and that looks like M. Clark from Aero, who kicked that off early. So that could be an indication for people watching, wanting some ideas for the next couple of days of racing is maybe open these sprints up a little bit early around that one because it's quite short and it's a blind sprint. So you can't see the finish till you round that right-hander. But that was good work there. We'll have a look at the replay when we can.
Emily Watts hit around 15 watts per kg
Mm.
last week, Anna, when she was sprinting. She is a very good track rider as well. So not too surprising that happened. Oh, we lost that for a second, but we are back now live watching the race. So Meredith Clark, we are watching her at the moment. Jess Hewson needs to just get back in that draft because Rave, they do
Mm.
still have a good contingent left there amongst the Aero riders, but they've got to make sure they're smart because Aero, fair to say, Anna, they've got a lot of options.
Yeah, and just looking there at was it Hewson who was just dropping off the back. Unfortunately, when you look at her bike, she must be, I would guess, an entry-level Zwifter. That is not a good bike selection for this course. It looks like a very classic mode, small wheel depth there. Yeah, you want to be riding. If this was me, I'd be riding the disc, that new DT Swiss ARC disc. Along with the new, was it the special? No, it's not the specialized. There's the new bike that's Nathan will be in my ear. He'll be able to tell me. I actually just purchased it and spent all of my drops. The S5, that's at the Cervelo S5 2020, which came out in, I'd almost say stealth wise in the last couple of months, just got dropped into people's garages. I didn't even know it was there for a month, which is shocking for me. Went and bought it straight away, used every single drop I had, and now currently trying to get enough drops to get that new disc wheel that's come out as well. So that would be the setup I'd be riding. I can see a couple of the Aero riders rocking that disc, and they're doing very well in the sprints.
Well, and as we duck over to the men's, there's been an attack off the front here. I'm wondering, I just saw the name J Hunt OLY, which very well could be Jeremy Hunt, which would be, I'm going to look that up. He's a bit of a legend if that is him. And welcome to the Zwift world. But we've got Gallagher again off the front. This is now his second solid attack, Michael Gallagher. He's really putting the pressure on. Now, he's not necessarily getting that break. They're coming in for that sprint now. And this is a bit of a twisty, turny sprint. They've hit
Oh,
the line. Clues
oh,
Proctor,
look at
he
that.
is all over it. Look at this gap.
Oh, that position, that head right over the handlebars, that looked amazing. That's huge watts from Clues Proctor. And then M. Ross from Aero, he won the first sprint. So that is very, very good from Aero. They are dominating these sprints. It's just their kind of course. I have seen as well that looks like Ben Hill from Aero is out racing. And I remember commentating on him last season through one of the hilly courses. And I actually, probably one of the best rides I've seen, very strong rider. So maybe he'll be saving himself for lap 2 and 3 for some attacks. But looking at Clues Proctor there, that is phenomenal sprinting. That is unbelievable. M. Ross coming over the top. And then it looks like Costal from NZ Bro, Notzi from NZ Bro. So there's NZ Bro riders up there, but they're not hitting the 1-2s. So they're not getting the fastest time segments, I would imagine, or the first across line. So Aero is they've got their tactics right tonight, that's for sure.
Matt Ross has been riding very well. So we've got Torben Partridge Madsen is sitting at the top of the table thanks to the fastest through segment. That is such a significant
Mm.
amount of points. Ben Hill sitting in second, Matt Ross in third, and then Clues Proctor sitting in fourth. We just saw him win that sprint, but we can tell that certainly the fastest through segment is turning out to be the most significant point scorer
It
there, which
is.
really changes your tactics, doesn't it?
That's changing my tactics for the team racing tomorrow, that's for sure. The fastest time segment, I'm surprised to see Patrick Madsen and Ben Hill. I didn't see in either of those sprints at all. They have moved their way through the pack, used probably, I'd say, the drafting power up to their advantage. That is massive. Just seeing there's some other names. John Story, want to mention him. He's a double Olympic Games rower. So he's